latest on November 7th around the wide world of tropics. Here's your tropical weather bulletin. A number of cyclones are active in the eastern hemisphere today, 3 of tropical storm strength or higher. We've had 86 storms this year so far on day 310. Halong is the strongest storm out there, but it is out to sea. Nakri and Bulbul also lurking. Day 160 of Atlantic hurricane season, no systems are active or indeed on the radar at this point. Season closing down quite a bit. Same too in the Eastern Pacific, day 177, and there's nothing out there at this point. So the Eastern Hemisphere is where all the activity is at. Halong well out to sea, weakening, category 3 still, Nakri and Bulbul on either side of the Malay Peninsula. No systems active in the Southern Hemisphere at this time, it's all quiet here. So Cyclone Bulbul is the main feature tonight, has been named by the Indian Meteorological Department. 40 mile per hour winds, pressure 997 millibars, 434 miles southeast of Visakhapatnam, 14.5 north, 88.9 degrees east. This system's expected to curve towards the north, could intensify to reach hurricane equivalent status. That's currently on our forecast for the weekend, category 1 briefly, and then starting to weaken as it nears the coast of Bangladesh. However, the track forecast by that point gets very uncertain as to whether it makes landfall or not, and so a stalling motion is currently the model consensus. This isn't Bulbul, this is Nakri that we're looking at on the wind shear graphic. This system is developing quite nicely as well. Some scattered 60 knot readings from ASCAT earlier on today. Whether that's true or not, we're not sure. But wind shear is low to moderate, 15 to 20 knots at this point, partially exposed. This is what the North Atlantic is looking like at this point, so there is a little disturbance out there near Costa Rica, which is looking rather interesting, but not too much is expected of that, I should imagine, drifting overland and into the Eastern Pacific. Elsewhere, the Atlantic is dead. The Gulf of Mexico also looking equally quiet. You do get the odd chance of a late season storm in the Gulf, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen now. The Eastern Pacific, we did have that area of interest a day or two ago, but there's really nothing left of that now. I think it's that frontal system that's developing there that's blowing up clouds towards the Baja California Peninsula. Out over the Central Pacific, there is a few clouds moving over Hawaii at this point, but further south there's a few tropical disturbances, equatorial, not really anything to do with development. This is Halong, quite clearly on the screen there. The eye has collapsed, but the weakening phase is a slow one, still a category 3 on our satellite estimates. And Nakri is actually a little bit larger than Halong in terms of size, obviously not in winds, but this storm could develop into a typhoon. The Australian region, looking at the southern hemisphere now, not too much going on here, just more cloud drifting from the tropical zone, the equatorial zone, down towards Papua New Guinea, the Solomon Islands, but nothing much coming out of that. The Indian Ocean, obviously those 2 cyclones dominating. Maha down to a depression, ASCAT getting very weak winds in that 30 miles per hour, so rainfall is the main threat there, 150 millimeters possible along the western coast of India. Sea surface temperatures around 28, maybe pushing 30 degrees still in some areas of the Eastern Pacific. The Atlantic, Gulf of Mexico cooling, the Western Caribbean still hot at this point. Late season activity can happen and can produce some strong storms even this late in that region. The Indian Ocean, Maha really struggling because of that upwelling as well as being sheared away in those last few hours and days. But as you can see, the Arabian Sea not looking so good right now, but the Bay of Bengal very warm, 29-30 degrees Celsius. Over Nakri around 28 degrees, will cool as the storm moves further west, and for Halong running out of time, about a day or two before sea surface temperatures really drop off a cliff. This is how it's looking like on the first visibles, which we get the luxury of seeing on the Tropical Weather Bulletin for storms this far east. Well, there it is. You can still see it's fighting, or every step of the way it isn't capitulating, but obviously, clearly, inevitably, this storm is on the way out by now, and it will eventually accelerate off towards the northeast. This is what Nakri is looking like. Another look at this storm today. So most of the cloud cover is away from the western coast of the Philippines. The most of that cloud cover well over the waters, but quite substantial cloud tops, particularly over the centre and on the western side of the centre of the storm. Certainly developing at least mid-range tropical storm, possibly pushing high end, and I think it could well become a typhoon as it starts to move towards the west soon. And this is Cyclone Bulbul, which is probably the biggest threat of all of them, potential threat. Of course, there is still that potential that it stalls off the coast of Bangladesh and doesn't actually really impact the area, but on the flip side, we could see potentially Category 2 or 3 landfall in the Ganges River Delta on a worst case scenario basis, and we know what storms like that have done in the past, so we're going to be watching this one very closely. So here we are then, November the 7th, again, the next name in the Atlantic, if we get one, will be Sebastian. In the Eastern Pacific, it's going to be Raymond. In the Central Pacific, we're still looking out for Hone. The average for each year is 91 storms a year. We're approaching that number pretty quick, we'll probably beat it. Next name in the Western Pacific will be Fengshan, the second name on list 3. The North Indian Ocean's next name will be Pawan. You can find Force 13's outlets, the website force13.com with the latest, our YouTube page, search Force 13 all in text and subscribe if you haven't so far, and you can find us on Facebook and Twitter, search Force 13 there as well, and you can get in touch through any of those outlets. That's all for now, we're back with more updates soon. You can also help the project become even better by becoming a patron. You can see more information about all the benefits involved by visiting patreon.com/force13. With a special thanks to these people for being our most valued patrons this month. You can also check out our growing merch store so you can show Force 13's colours wherever you go. You can also find a link to our Discord server underneath this video in the description.